This is the new 2nd Gen 12.9-inch iPad Pro. It's coming up on 2 years now since Apple first introduced the monster that was the original iPad Pro, and since then the lineup has expanded to include new smaller sizes, including a 10.5-inch option. But for some users, the words iPad Pro are always going to be synonymous with the biggest screens you can get, and for them, Apple's got this new unit loaded with upgraded hardware. I'm Stephen Shank with PhoneArena, showing you exactly what you can expect as I review the 12.9-inch iPad Pro.
The last few years have not been especially kind on tablets, and as smartphones become more and more successful at delivering big screen experiences, it just hasn't felt really necessary to carry around a separate device. That's led tablet manufacturers to search for new ways to make their products stand out, and one of the most successful has been to pivot the market towards big screen, high-end tablets designed to serve as laptop replacements. While some of those go the 2-in-1 route, bundling in a detachable keyboard, Apple's taken a more relaxed approach with the iPad Pro. You're free to spend several $100s and upgrade the tablet with an active stylus and custom keyboard, but for the purposes of this review, we're looking at the tablet alone, and it is a big old thing. The 2nd Gen 12.9-inch iPad Pro comes in with the same shape and size as its predecessor. The layout should be familiar, with a cluster of power and volume controls in the upper right-hand corner, headphone jack in the upper left, and clicky Touch ID home button just below the screen. Apple's quad speaker system makes a return here, peppered along the tablet's edges, and when it's time to recharge, the lightning port is neatly tucked in down below. Like the 1st Gen iPad Pro, this 12.9-inch model is only available in silver, space gray, and gold, unlike the smaller iPad Pro, which also adds rose gold to its list of options. While the look hasn't changed, Apple's made some manufacturing improvements under the hood, and the new 12.9-inch iPad Pro comes in slightly lighter than the original. We do appreciate that improvement, but there's no getting over the fact that this iPad is big, and honestly, maybe too big. Yes, a big display helps with split-screen multitasking, and may even reduce eye strain in the long run, but this is an awkward tablet to own. If you're treating it like a laptop, that's one thing, but the sheer size makes handheld usage cumbersome, and puts the tablet at a serious disadvantage compared to the 10.5-inch iPad Pro. The 12.9-inch screen on this tablet returns with the same 2048 by 2732 resolution as the 1st Gen model, but it's not without its improvements. For one, Apple introduces its ProMotion tech, generating refresh rates as high as 120 Hz. The screen's smooth, don't get us wrong, but that's not going to change the way you see most apps. It may help with more natural-feeling interactions with the Apple Pencil, but we're steering clear of optional accessories for this review. Maybe more importantly though, it is bright and beautiful. Brightness levels compete favorably with some of the best-performing smartphones out there, and outdoor use is rarely a problem. Color reproduction is also phenomenal, and the iPad Pro steers clear of many of the oversaturation issues other mobile devices suffer from. Speaking of smoothly scrolling screens, this new generation of iPad Pro marks the arrival of Apple's new A10X chips, and the performance they offer, both in terms of raw number crunching and rendering all manner of graphics, is untouched by other mobile devices. Even full-blown laptops won't necessarily be on the same level. This all makes using the iPad Pro a really pleasant experience. The only downside is that doing so is likely to make your phone feel slow in comparison. The 4GB of RAM Apple gives each iPad Pro prove to be nice and adequate for multitasking, even if the iOS split-screen system is a little less than graceful. It's much better here than on the 10.5-inch iPad Pro, with more space for UI elements when viewing apps side by side, but you're still stuck with very limited options for what sizes you can scale those apps to. Now, while it won't change everything, the forthcoming release of iOS 11 is set to deliver a number of tablet-friendly enhancements, so you do have the benefit of looking forward to those. We checked out the 12.9-inch iPad Pro in its 64GB Wi-Fi only configuration, which runs about $800. From there, you can step up to either 256GB of storage for $900 or a massive 512GB for $1,100, though obviously all without microSD expansion. Of those three, 256GB feels like the best storage price balance, but if you really don't see yourself needing the space, do not feel bad about settling for 64. And no matter which option you choose, you can also add cellular connectivity for an additional $130. As we mentioned, this iPad Pro returns with another set of 4 speakers, and they honestly could change your expectations for what mobile devices should sound like. They're loud, but also crisp and clear, delivering both detailed treble and thumping bass. And much like the tablet's second-to-none speed, these speakers are quickly going to have you looking at most other phones and tablets in abject disappointment. A big tablet like this has a lot of potential when it comes to battery life, and while hardware like a display this size can represent high power demands, that's often balanced out by there being enough room to squeeze in a nicely sized battery. Here, Apple fits in a 10,875 mAh component, which is even bigger than on the first-gen iPad Pro. In our custom endurance test, that managed to power the tablet for almost 11 hours, not bad at all, and making the iPad Pro feel solidly reliable for day-long usage. The one hiccup there, and it's not exactly a small one, is that recharge times are on the slower side, and you're going to have to set aside well over 4 hours to fill things back up after running the iPad Pro down to 0. Okay, let's talk cameras. We get it, tablets are unwieldy for taking photos even when they're on the smaller side, and this iPad Pro most certainly is not that, but you know what? You'd be doing yourself a disservice if you missed capturing an important moment just because you didn't want to be one of those tablet photography guys. Here's why. The camera on the iPad Pro is fantastic. 12 megapixel sensor, f1.8 aperture, optical stabilization. We're looking at the same kind of hardware we got on the iPhone 7. And just like that phone, this tablet takes some effortless, natural-looking, really high-quality photos. That's just as true day and night, and in addition to pics shot with the main camera looking good, even the front-facing 7-megapixel selfie cam produces some nice clean shots you'll be proud to share. If there's one weak point here, it's in video recording, and while the picture looks good, supporting filming modes up to 4K, we had issues both with audio sounding muted and far away, even when standing right next to the tablet, as well as some struggles focusing on really up-close subjects.
The 12.9-inch iPad Pro is a great tablet. It's got a beautiful screen, blistering performance, incredible speakers, and a camera that might even be better than the one on your smartphone. But it's also gigantic to the point where it's awkward to use. Now, if you're using it as a laptop paired with Apple's keyboard, that might make sense, but Apple is selling this as a standalone tablet. And if we're evaluating it as such, the 10.5-inch iPad Pro offers the same great performance, costs 20% less, and is much more comfortable to use. If all you care about in the world is a big screen, go ahead and get this guy, but many users will probably be happier with the 10.5-inch version. I'm Steven Shank with PhoneArena. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more reviews coming your way soon.